story is a true one I witnessed and which haunts me to this very day. When I was in middle school, I attended a gifted boarding school in the district. It was also the first time I had to live away from home and be independent. The dorm room I stayed in had 4 students, including one named Ben. He was eccentric, just lounging around in his room all day. Even though I asked him out to play football, he refused time and time again. He seemed to have a hard time getting along with anyone. Over time, we also became afraid of him, but he was the one who wanted to isolate himself, not because we shunned him. What was stranger was that he just liked to sleep all day. At the end of class, he would turn back to his room, climb into bed and sleep, as if sleeping was his only passion. A month later, something scary started happening to us. That night, I was sleeping when I heard strange noises. It seemed that the sound of the door opening was waking me up. I became curious and thought it must be one of the friends in the room getting up to no good in the bathroom. However, that day I still smelt a burning smell from somewhere. I sat up immediately, grabbed the flashlight from under the pillow, and shone the light around. I also asked, "Who's there? If you're just going to the bathroom, don't be so noisy." I shined my flashlight at Ben's place, but he was nowhere to be found. I thought it was true that he just went out to go to the toilet. My voice woke the other 2. Everyone was sleeping and told me not to pay attention to what Ben was doing because he must have had a stomachache, and that was why he smelled like that. Then we didn't think much of Ben but laid down and continued to sleep. It was quite cold that night. Near morning I suddenly woke up because I felt the need to urinate and decided to go out to the bathroom. I looked over at Ben's bed and was amazed. Ben hadn't yet come back. The door was still open. Why was he out all night? I walked out slowly. I would go to see what was wrong with Ben. This guy had a lot of weird actions, but after all, he was still my roommate. I should take care of him too, of course. As I neared the door, I suddenly heard footsteps. At this point, Ben walked in. His face looked quite tired. I called to him. "Ben, do you have diarrhea or something? The crime of eating so much, hey? Your face looks so unsightly." This time, however, Ben did not say anything. His face was like a lost soul, not responding to my words as he kept walking. It felt very strange. Normally Ben would answer anything I asked, but that day his attitude was very strange. I did not know what was happening. As I looked at him, I realized he was walking very strange. Even when Ben climbed into bed, he did not take off his slippers. He was really eccentric. I thought of going over there to tell him to take off his sandals, but at the time, I wanted to pee, so I just ignored him. The following day, I decided to tell the story of Ben to 2 of my roommates and ask them all to see where Ben went. I assumed he was sleepwalking. As I expected that night, the door opened again. Ben walked out with a strange gait. The 3 of us were curiously watching from behind, wondering if this guy was doing something shady, or was he really sleepwalking as I guessed. There was indeed something shady. Ben didn't go to the bathroom but walked past it. He then walked up the stairs, as we slowly followed. Ben continued to walk up to the 4th floor with a lost soul, then to the 5th floor. Again, our dorm room had 5 floors, and we were on the 3rd floor. Because the number of students was not that much, the 4th and 5th floors were empty. We felt curious. What was Ben doing there? Above the 5th floor was empty space. Darkness, where the air was cold and the musty smell was creepy. When we got there, Ben was nowhere to be found. We felt weird, knowing that he was there. How could he disappear so fast? But just then suddenly a girl's cry rang out at the end of the corridor, accompanied by a scary interrupting voice. We felt chills down our spines. This place was a male dormitory, so why was there a female up here? Maybe there were ghosts. Just thinking about it, all three of us got goosebumps. We gathered courage and walked to the room at the end of the hallway. We wanted to go to where the crying was coming from. I thought that maybe Ben was hiding some scary secret. In the dim darkness, two black figures appeared by the window. They were facing the window and with their backs to us. I recognized one person as Ben, but the long-haired girl beside him, we didn't know who she was. At this point, we understood and looked at each other and smiled. It turned out that Ben was secretly dating a girlfriend in this area. We didn't expect a shy guy like Ben to have a girlfriend. As if he heard our laughter, Ben suddenly turned his face. However, the strange thing was, where was the girl standing next to him? The three of us went inside the room. I cheerfully teased Ben that he had a girlfriend and refused to introduce her to us. He secretly met up here late at night. Is that what you were doing, Ben? However, when we shone the flashlight into the room, we did not see their girlfriend, but she was just there, right there. We curiously shone the light across the room to look for her, but there was absolutely no one there. What the hell was going on? I walked over and looked out the window. Strangely enough, this was the 5th floor area, empty of all people. Did we get dizzy just then? Ben was still standing motionless and neither spoke nor answered our questions. I pointed my flashlight at him. It was scary that Ben's face became very strange. He was crying and his eyes were white. What was really strange was that the tears kept coming from his eyes, as it turned out that he was the one crying all the time. All three of us were startled when we saw Ben's scary expression. So all the noises were coming from Ben, and we didn't see any girls in the room. One of us thought that Ben was sleepwalking. He even asked if he should wake up. Before he could finish his sentence, he reached out and took Ben's shoulder. But the unexpected thing happened. Ben collapsed immediately, unconsciously. After seeing the scene in front of them, everyone was scared and quickly called for help. Then I heard from the manager again that Ben had a history of sleepwalking and had only recently gotten worse. The hospital later reported that Ben's life was not in danger, but his health was deteriorating. The strange thing was that the dormitory manager told us not to spread the scary story around. I also didn't know if Ben's sleepwalking was real. And who was that girl standing next to him? This was all still a mystery to me.